Begin by thanking most sincerely the members of the media for taking the time at such short notice and despite the inclement weather to attend this media conference. The purpose, ladies and gentlemen of the media, and more so to the viewing and listening public, the purpose of this media conference is to simply address the growing concerns of the public having regard to the recent judgment involving the Piarco Airport matter named John Henry Smith and another versus the Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago. This media conference, ladies and gentlemen, is to correct the record after the ruling of that Privy Council decision on the Piarco 1 committal, which was given on the 27th of June 2022. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, the people and citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Attorney General Reginald Amor, SC, having recused himself from all Piarco Airport matters on behalf of the state of Trinidad and Tobago, I have been assigned to provide full support and conduct to the Honorable Faris Al-Rawi MP, who now has conduct of all of these matters. As a lawyer, one would appreciate the common comments in the legal fraternity to the effect that an attorney who represents himself has a fool for a client. As a result, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to report to you, Trinidad and Tobago, that on the 27th of June 2022, immediately after the judgment was issued by the Privy Council, I saw it fit and prudent to commission an opinion from Mr. Kerwin Garcia, which I received today, and intend to read certain paragraphs of the opinion to correct the record. I want to reiterate that this opinion represents a preliminary opinion on the interpretation of that judgment. My office, ladies and gentlemen, received the said opinion earlier today, and as a part, I respectfully believe, as a part of my obligation to the state and the wider citizenry to be transparent and accountable in all matters involving the state, unless, of course, limited by the rules of sub judice or the rules of the court, I believed it was prudent to call upon you, the media, so that I can have an opportunity to read into the record some of the preliminary advice that has been given to my office or to this office. As such, this press conference is pertinent to provide an update to you, the public of Trinidad and Tobago. Before I get into this opinion, there are two critical things that I wish to highlight and remind the viewing and listening audience. One, I am aware of the fact that the state would be receiving in the near future further opinions from our attorneys in London and our attorneys in Miami as it relates to the interpretation given to the Privy Council judgment. Further, as previously highlighted, this is simply a preliminary update. As soon as the additional opinions are received, you have my commitment, Trinidad and Tobago. I now having a part to play in this matter. You have my commitment that I shall report to you as the information is forthcoming. Now, if you may allow me, ladies and gentlemen of the media, to refer to certain paragraphs in that opinion, and as I stated before, it's a preliminary advice that has been given to us at the Office of the Attorney General as it relates to the Privy Council decision. Now, of course, I'm an attorney at law, and that's why I started by saying, it was critical for me to further seek legal advice as it relates to an interpretation of this opinion, because certainly a lawyer cannot advise him or herself. Now, that opinion was commissioned, the decision of the Privy Council, as members of the media are aware, that decision was released on the 27th, immediately having perused and reading that decision. As I would have indicated to you all, I took the necessary steps to commission opinion. That opinion was delivered to me today, and again, just to reiterate for those who may now be tuning in, the purpose is to simply read some of the preliminary advice that this office has since received. And I would read paragraph 1 through 5 of the opinion, and then as we go along, the discourse will continue. Now, this is taken, as I said before, from the opinion, the preliminary opinion that we received today. And it states, on June 27, 2022, the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council delivered its judgment in Privy Council Appeals number 0045 of 2018 between John Henry Smith and another versus the Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago, paragraph 2 of said opinion. At paragraph 87 of its judgment, the Judicial Committee ruled that the PIARCO 1 committal decision of 7 January 2008 falls to be quashed by reason of apparent bias on the part of the former Chief Magistrate who presided over the proceedings. Paragraph 3 of said opinion. I have been asked to advise on the impact of the Judicial Committee's judgment on the PIARCO 1 inquiry, and in particular as to whether the charges against the accused in the PIARCO 1 inquiry can still be proceeded with. Paragraph 4 of the opinion. In this opinion, I set out my preliminary advice on these questions. My advice in this opinion is preliminary only. It's being given on an urgent basis and without the benefit of full review of all the facts or of all the relevant case law and statute law. Paragraph 5 of the said opinion. The first observation I make about the Judicial Committee ruling is that what it quashes is the PIARCO 1 committal decision of 7 January 2008. It does not quash the charges themselves against the accused in that inquiry. A discharge or dismissal at the preliminary inquiry is not an acquittal. See CCJ Appeal Number GYCR 2021/002 in the case of Marcus Bisram against the Director of Public Prosecution per the Honorable Mr. Justice A. Saunders at paragraph 17. The charges against the accused therefore remain to be addressed one way or the other. Ladies and gentlemen, if you allow me to read paragraph 7 of this preliminary opinion. The question is, what are the mechanisms available to secure a determination of the charges brought against the defendants in the PIARCO 1 preliminary inquiry, the Judicial Committee having quashed the committal decision of 7 January 2008? And if you permit me to, in answering this question, to immediately read paragraph 23 of said opinion, which attempts to answer that critical question. Accordingly, my preliminary advice is as follows. 1. The Judicial Committee's ruling on June 27, 2022 quashes the PIARCO 1 committal decision of 7 January 2008 and invalidates the whole of the preliminary inquiry. Paragraph number 2. Advice number 2. The Judicial Committee ruling does not quash the charges against PIARCO 1 defendants. Point 3. That being the case, it is open to the DPP to decide that there must be a determination of charges brought against the PIARCO 1 defendants. Number 4, one mechanism available to secure a determination of those charges is for the DPP to exercise its power under Section 23(8) subsection D of the Act and prefer indictments against the defendants. And number five, another mechanism is for the DPP to proceed by way of fresh or second preliminary inquiry. And then finally, neither mechanism is likely to be successfully resisted by recourse to arguments as to the abuse of process. So, ladies and gentlemen of the media, the viewing and listening public, what I have just attempted to do, having of course been assigned to assist the Honorable Faris Al-Rawi in this matter, what I have just attempted to do is to just bring some clarity and some information to the members of the listening public as it relates to the Privy Council decision in this matter, which was given on Monday, I believe that was the 27th. Now, the concerns I know from the public was whether or not, for want of local parlance, whether every man jack going to walk free because of the decision of the Privy Council. And what I can say, at least based on the preliminary advice that we have been given, is that there seems to be avenues currently available in which we can answer no to that question. However, that is why I began this press conference by indicating, because Mr. Garcia certainly also would have stated that at the very beginning of his advice to us, we must take into consideration the short frame of time in which the request for the opinion was made, and of course the time in which it was delivered to my office. This, as I said before, ladies and gentlemen of the media, and more so to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, is simply my attempt to bring you up to speed as to what has been happening as it relates to this matter, simply to allay any fears that our citizens may have as it relates to persons who were accused or persons who were charged in this matter walking freely. So to that end, ladies and gentlemen of the media, I do want to thank you again most sincerely for making yourselves available, and most certainly for allowing me the opportunity in my own little way to report to you, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, on what has been happening in this matter in an effort to correct whatever misinformation is currently out there as it relates to this matter. So I thank you most sincerely. I'm not sure if there are any questions as it relates to the disclosure that has just been made. Good afternoon. Mr. Garcia, what I know of Mr. Garcia is Mr. Garcia, of course, is a competent counsel and has had a significant amount of experience in dealing with these matters. And of course, it's not, while Mr. Garcia would have presented this preliminary advice, there are other lawyers, of course, who would be working on behalf of the state in providing us with the necessary information. But you can rest assured that he is of competent counsel. Any other questions? Right, so we are, as I would have indicated, we are currently waiting advice from our London attorneys and our Miami attorneys. Numbers of attorneys, not off my head, but I can certainly provide that information to the media, probably even perhaps after this conference. Of course. So this matter is, of course, very urgent. I personally am never in the habit of committing, more so making false promises to Trinidad and Tobago as per a time frame. But let's just say this report, let's just use common sense, apply common sense here. I made this request on the 27th. Today is what, the 29th? And I already have a preliminary advice in my hands. So that I want to believe at least the public can rest assured that I'm working, with diligence to ensure that the lawyers, at least in short order, present us with this information so that we can again report to you, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, on what has been happening in this matter. Any other questions?
What do we say to citizens who may be upset by the length of time that this matter has been?
Yes. You know what I would say to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago? I was a lawyer myself, and being an attorney and, of course, being a defense counsel, I was not this is the first time I'm actually standing in the shoes of a prosecutor, prosecuting matters on behalf of the state. And as a defense counsel, you would imagine where clients come to you, they're spending their money, they have a loved one that is inside. And I can say that I certainly understand the feelings and the emotions of our people, because it's the public's money that is being invested in this matter. matter. But what I can also say is that this is the first time I have had conduct of this matter. This is the first time that I am personally involved in this matter. And what you can rest assured, at least remember, and that is why I call this conference in particular, just so that the public understands that we do not, sometimes when as politicians or as ministers we are not forthcoming with information, it's not because we want to keep the public in the dark, but we are sometimes confined by rules of sub judice. So we have to also be clear in our mind. We do not have the liberty as other persons out there to speak out of context and vike on matters once we are named as parties to the matter. Remember, if I make a statement that is out of turn, you can look at an entire matter being affected by that. So unfortunately, as a government, whether it's this government or any government, we are not provided with the liberty of being able just to speak and spill the beans every time something comes to us. But to answer your question to the viewing and listening public, I, having been assigned this matter now, you can rest assured that I am youthful and I will do whatever it takes to at least ensure that we are able to get the necessary advice and bring to justice the necessary persons. To the dollar, I will not be able to give that information, but it's well over the millions of dollars that has been invested from the state on behalf of this matter. And again, I want to use this opportunity again to reiterate, millions of public dollars having been invested. You can understand, ladies and gentlemen of the media, why we are so particular in not just simply giving information vike, because we do not want to do anything at all that, of course, will compromise the integrity of the matters. But it's well over the millions that has been invested in this matter.
In terms of receiving the advice,
right.
from the attorneys, whether you might have
Right.
how much has it saved you?
I don't have that information, and of course I certainly would not want to mislead you or members of the public. I don't have the figures committed to memory right now, but certainly again that is information that is recorded in the ministry, and I would have no difficulty with providing. Of course, I would have no difficulty in providing that information once it can, and I know it can be provided. Well, it's not our place to advise the DPP. As from the office of the Attorney General, we know that the DPP himself is a constitutionally created creature, and therefore it is not our responsibility to advise the DPP. But I have every faith in our Director of Public Prosecution, and I am most certain that what is presented to us by virtue of this preliminary advice is not new information to the DPP. I am certain that our DPP would be well aware of his role and his responsibilities in this matter, and I am certain that he will act accordingly. But to answer your question, no, we have not provided this opinion, this preliminary advice to the Director of Public Prosecution. I can't say, and that's why I would rely on the lawyers. But what you can rest assured is, as soon as I have that update, as long as you all are willing to come and share some time with me, I would have you all here again, to at least be able to report to you, members of the media, and the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago on what has been happening and what advice we have received in this matter. So I thank you all again most sincerely, and I thank you for going easy on me, this having been my first media conference. Ladies and gentlemen, please do get home safely. Trinidad and Tobago, please be safe out there. I thank you.
The winning numbers in the National Lottery online draws for Wednesday, 29th June 2022. Playway, the number 11 Kobo Mega Ultra Ball called, picked to numbers 30 and 24 in that